okay, let me say this. Sometimes our pathological critic can come in different forms, right? Different voices. That's why it's important to know it. Sometimes it can be you knowing, like, it could be your mom, right? It could be the voice of your mom, like, hey, your mom used to tell you, like, oh, you're not good enough. You're not do this. You cannot do that, right? And that pathological critic would transfer, from your mom, your physical mom, into your psychological brain. And, you can hear your mom's voice in the back of your head telling you that you're not good. And because you had believed what your mom was saying, or you have believed whatever your dad or whomever, right, was criticizing you when you were younger, or even in a later adult life, right, when you had believed those criticisms, now that pathological critic voice becomes stronger. So it's important to recognize, who is it, right? Is it yourself that is talking down to yourself? Or is it someone else that was talking down to you, and now you are using that voice in the back of your head to play it over and over, right? It's coming in over and over. Every time you're trying to do something, that critic comes in. So recognizing who is it, it's super important, right? And because when you're able to recognize it, like I mentioned, right, you can now acknowledge that it's there. Just the same as a problem, right? When you have a problem and you acknowledge that it's there, it takes away a little bit more pressure from you, right? Because now you know that there's a problem at hand, and the goal here is to find a solution to the problem. And it's the same way as a pathological critic, because when you're able to acknowledge your pathological critic, now you're able to see that, hey, you're here, so what can I do to eliminate you out of my life, right? When I acknowledge you, that means I'm not afraid of you anymore. I acknowledge that you're here, your presence is being felt. So what can I do to remove you out of this space? Or what can I do to coexist with you, right? That was the first thing. Acknowledging and recognizing your pathological critic is the number one key of healing yourself from this voice. For example, let's say your pathological critic comes in and say, you're not worthy. You're not, you're not worthy of X, Y, and Z. You're not worthy of love. You're not worthy of this. You're not worthy of that. You have to now tell your pathological critic, I am worthy of X, Y, and Z, right? And one of the ways that you can actually combat this is bring a moment in your life when you felt worthy. Let's say you had an award show and you won something, right? Go ahead and grab that, memory from the back of your head. Say, hey, look, I won this because I was good at it, right? I am winning here because I put in the effort, I put in the time, I did this. This is the evidence that I am worthy of whatever you're telling me I'm not worthy of, right? A moment where you felt like you look beautiful, if your pathological critic is coming and, trying to dim your self-esteem, right? Tell them like, no, sweetheart, this is a picture that I took. This is me. I look beautiful, right? You have to be willing to stand up to your pathological critic, because if you don't, it only gets stronger and stronger, and it becomes a bully in your life. And that's how many of us go into depression, fall into anxiety, because the voice in our mind and in our heads gets stronger and stronger. I'm not saying that's the only way we get depressed, but one of the ways that we get depressed is by us replaying the negative self-talk that we tell ourselves over and over, because this voice can get really strong.